Gender equality. Problems with gender stereotypes. In Suzanne's story, Trifles and a Jury of Her Peers, and A Dollhouse by Henrik Eisben, all have a common theme. The theme illustrates how gender roles or stereotypes have divided females and males unequally. How? Gender stereotypes place labels on each gender, separating and limiting our ability to understand each gender's potential in society. Some examples of gender stereotypes include males inheriting aggression, economic intelligence, strength and dominance, females inheriting submissiveness, household and childcare intelligence, and being fragile. Solution of gender stereotypes is gender equality. Gender equality can offer a sociological, socio-political, and ethical treatment of Suzanne's short story Trifles and a Jury of Her Peers, as well as Henrik Eisben's A Dollhouse. Thesis statement. The limitation of laws that differentiate genders, the changing of attitudes on gender stereotypes, and the increase of political and economical positions for women can help both genders see each other equally. In Suzanne's story, Trifles and a Jury of Her Peers, the plot is Mrs. White is a suspect for strangling her husband in his sleep. In Trifles, the story is told in an omniscient view, which shows the audience a more broader view. A Jury of Her Peers is told through the main figure of the story, which makes it more of a narrow-minded view. As the attorney and sheriff and both their wives enter the kitchen, you immediately notice a separation in attitude between the female group and the male group. For example, the men underestimate the kitchen, otherwise known as the female's domain, and think of it as useless. Quote, "Nothing here but kitchen things," he said, with a little laugh for the insignificance of kitchen things. In the end of the story, women revolted against the men and kept the evidence that they found in the kitchen a secret. Now the problem here is that the male's lack of understanding of women's potential in solving this case. In A Dollhouse, the plot is a bit different. Nora is seen and treated as a doll by her husband Helmer. Helmer takes pleasure of his wife's dependency of him. Women seem to be dependent for men's welfare. The husband thinks that the men are only good with economical standards, while women are only good with caring for the household and children. Nora destroys this notion by taking out a loan in order to save her husband's life from a deadly illness. Nora also demonstrates her independence by taking out this loan without her husband's consent. When Helmer found out about the loan, he cared about his reputation and masculine appearance more than he cared about his wife. Now the problem here is that the gender stereotypes ruin the relationship by creating tensions and misunderstandings between husband and wife. Gender equality. Now, there's a saying. The saying goes by gender equality is not a female right or a male right, but a human right. If society establishes gender equality as an economical, political, and ethical conduct, lack of understanding between female and male can be solved. Now, the first step is the limitation of laws that differentiate genders. For example, abortion laws pertain mainly to women. According to an article called Father Rights and Abortion, if a man's pregnant partner seeks to have an abortion, the father's consent isn't legally required. A woman may choose to terminate a pregnancy against the objections of the father. If we were to truly obtain gender equality through legal laws, ignoring biological factors, then it would only be fair if the father's consent did count. Another example includes the military draft. According to the Selective Service System, an official site of the U.S. government, if a war were to happen, men and only men are required to be drafted. However, with gender equal laws, women would have to enroll as well. The second step would be the changing of attitudes on gender stereotypes. The attitudes that women and men have between each other must change. Both genders must see each other equally. For example, men are seen as weak if they show emotion. Women should be accepting of this notion instead of discriminating men for being weak. Men should also accept women's ability to be strong and powerful. The third step is the increase of political and economical positions for women. Although women in America are able to obtain a better political status nowadays than past history, gender gaps can still exist. As an article called Advancing Women's Roles in Politics is Still a Work in Progress states, women occupy only 17% of the state's General Assembly, 37 of 203 House positions, and 8 of 50 Senate seats. Nationally, the state ranks 39th in terms of women legislators. The gender gaps can be due to the notion that men are better with economical standards, thus diminishing the women's ambition to run for political ranks. As Shui explains in her article, women have a harder time seeing themselves as politicians because they have fewer examples and are much less likely than men to think they are qualified to run. Gender equality. If society is able to achieve all of the above steps, gender equality can be a possible solution and a great outcome for both males and females. As a quote states, "The soul has no gender," by Clarissa. The end.